Hi, Gabby Turner here, and I've got a photograph to show you of your 3 reading options. The topic today, as you can tell from the title, is how can you be of service? How are you meant to be of service? So we're going to look more deeply into that. I am recording out in nature today, and I am in a pretty large park. You might hear some distant voices in the background. You may even see people walking through the background. And most likely you're going to hear some wind. It is a pretty windy day today. And thanks to global warming, it is also like unpredictably warm. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's not the temperature. Normally it would be in like the 40s and 50s at the most, Fahrenheit. And today it's like 65 degrees out. So it's a nice day weather-wise. So let's look on the bright side. Let's be optimistic. Anyway, my spirit guides have been pushing me to get out a little bit more and to be outside in nature, and I thought this was a nice reading topic. My spirit guides have also been really encouraging me to think about, really prioritizing being of service. You know, it's easy to get pulled in. I think even the most spiritually mature of people, and I like to think that I'm fairly spiritually mature, but even though those of us who are decisively on a spiritual path can kind of get pulled into the wrong things and distracted by ego. You know, that's one of the main lessons of incarnating into Earth, is how do we manage our ego and remember the greater truth, which is that of being of service, of using our lives for something greater than our own ego gratification, which is very fleeting. You know, the ego is like a black hole. It's like a vacuum. You know, there's never going to be enough to fill the desires of the ego or to satisfy the desires of the ego. So it's just better to focus on other things. All right, so go ahead, and again, I'll flash that image up on the screen for you. Choose whichever leaf is calling out most to you. Use the timestamps in the description box below. That's where I keep my timestamps. And go ahead and click on your timestamp, and I'll see you at your reading. Hello to everyone who chose option number 1. I hope that this is recording correctly, otherwise that number is going to be in reverse. I don't know. But anyway, number 1, people, your leaf has already blown away, so I can't show it to you, but you know which leaf you chose. It was the coolest leaf, of course. All right, so, you know, strangely enough, as I was walking around this park that I'm in today, before I sat down to record this, my spirit guides actually told me which 2 cards to bring up for for you guys to begin with. So we'll start here, and then I'll shuffle and pull the message for you. But what we have is the Hierophant and the Emperor. So basically, I feel that you guys are in some sort of position, or you will be in some sort of position of political or military power, or simply at the top tier of some sort of major hierarchy. Because the Hierophant has to do with some sort of traditional organization or entity that has an established hierarchy of some kind. For some of you, this could also be being in some sort of religious leadership position. Again, some sort of religion where there are hierarchies, and you would be, you know, at the top or near the top with the Emperor card. So again, some sort of major leadership position within some sort of established organization. So it could be a government, a business, the military, something to do with politics, which again would go back to government, or religion. Again, it could be some sort of business leadership. All right, or an organization, probably with the Hierophant, a very established organization that's been around for a while and has its own kind of protocol that's been developed over many years. So that's the position that you're in. And if that doesn't sound like you, then you might want to choose another option, because that's who I'm speaking to today. So let me just shuffle. We'll see, for those of you who are in such a position, how can you use that position to be of service? Got a little gust of wind here, so I'll use that as a moment to just focus on shuffling. Let me pause for just a second. Okay, so the wind is just something that we're going to have to deal with again. I don't know, hopefully the audio turns out okay. But the first card I'm getting is the Knight of Coins. So I'm kind of feeling like part of what you can do to be of service is to acknowledge that there are people lower in the hierarchy who still have a tremendous value to you and what you're trying to achieve, and you are partially in service to these people. Okay? So it could be employees, or just, you know, if you're in politics, people who haven't been in an elected position for as long as you, or whatever. You know, I think you understand. But someone who's kind of lower on the hierarchy than you, but has, or many people who are lower on the hierarchy than you, but who have very significant talents, skills, and abilities to offer. You are partially in service to these people. Yeah, King of Swords. It's like recognizing that you have a lot of support underneath you. I think that ultimately with the King of Swords here, you're probably the one who's calling the shots. You're making the ultimate judgments, but you need to respect and remind yourself of the tremendous value that other people are bringing to the table through their hard work and skill set. We also have the Queen of Swords here. I'm just going to clarify, I don't know what the Queen of Swords is telling me. And the Lover's card. And I mean, most of my viewers are women, so I'm going to interpret this a couple of different ways. If you happen to be a man and watching this, and obviously, thanks to the patriarchy, most men are the ones who are at the top of various hierarchies of power. And that, if you are a man, I think that you need to recognize that women have value, equal value to men. And so part of what you can do to be of service is to recognize that. If you're a woman watching, part of what you can do to be of service is to recognize that you have risen to the ranks of power. You've risen up to the top of some sort of hierarchy of power where you have a major influence, and that is not easy to do as a woman. And part of your service is maybe to recognize, like we talked before, about the fact that there are people who are lower on the hierarchy. You know, if you're a man, and this is about women, even if they're in a equal position of power, are still lower on the hierarchy, you know, thanks to sexism. Sexism is naturally going to disempower women. Women have to fight more to be in the same position of power, and when they're in the same position of power, to really get the same respect, you know. So this is really about respecting people who are lower on the hierarchy. And if you're a woman who's risen up the ranks of power, this is about saying, like, you probably need to recognize other women who are still climbing up that ladder and haven't gotten to where you are. Okay, we have Death and Eight of Wands. Not really sure what this is trying to tell us. It definitely has something, again, to do with power and control. Okay, Page of Cups. I feel like one of the things that you can do to be of service is to just maybe open up the lines of communication within whatever hierarchy it is that you are at the leadership position of, and demonstrate in some way that you're open to having open discussions about power dynamics, and that you're open to hearing from people who are beneath you and recognizing that they, what am I looking for? Recognizing, again, we have the Knight of Swords before we had the Knight of Pentacles, recognizing that people have ideas and instincts that you need and that benefit the hierarchy of this organization overall. I think it's just meeting people halfway and saying, let's have an open dialogue here where you can recognize that I do respect you and I understand that I can't do this without you. Final thoughts here, we have the Five of Wands. I feel like if that sort of discussion is opened up, this is just a reminder that people may not take kindly to it, even if your intentions are good, because people may have pre-existing frustrations about some sort of system or hierarchy where they have been disempowered. So I think the wind is telling us that the reading is over for pile 1. So I hope that you enjoyed that and it was helpful. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Welcome, Group 2, to your reading. Whew. Oh my, the wind is very powerful, so if we get another gust of wind, it might be difficult to hear me. But these are the two cards that we're getting. First of all, we're getting the King of Wands and the Queen of Cups. So I think that I'm speaking to a group of people who are courageous creatives. So creativity can express itself in a lot of different ways. Obviously through art, but also through business entrepreneurship, coming up with some sort of idea, enterprise, or business that did not previously exist. And then, of course, you know, we mostly think of creativity in terms of artistic creation. But I feel like you are creative people, and adventurously so in some way. And also, you're a creative person who's really, it's coming from your heart, you know? You're expressing your heart through whatever it is that you do. So if it's a business, it's really coming from a place of love. So you're already kind of naturally in your personality and in what you're doing, you're already naturally set up to be of service, because I think it's kind of your nature, you know, whatever it is you're doing. And if you're creating some sort of art, the art itself is an expression of love. That doesn't mean like, if you're a poet or something, that all of your poems have to be about love, but it's coming from your heart, it's coming from your emotions, and whatever your emotions happen to be, your heart is going to connect to someone else's heart when they experience that. So that's what I'm getting first of all. So let's just ask your spirit guides here today, what's the message for you creative folks? Adventurously, courageously creative, whatever that means, but that's how I'm getting it. We have the Ten of Wands. I feel that it's not always easy for you to share your heart. You know, I think it could be some of the rejection or the criticism you get back, or maybe you have haters, and so I think it's maybe difficult to stay in that place of heart-centered love, you know, coming from the heart, which I think is your nature. You know, it's what you do best and it's what you naturally want to do, but it is creating some sort of hardship for you. And then we have the devil. So I think that sometimes it could be that the ego as well is dragging you away from your ability to stay heart-centered. You know, you could be just concerned about the wrong things. You know, what's in it for me? You know, that's what the ego wants us to focus on. What's in it for me? Rather than how can this art or business or whatever it is that I'm creating courageously, how can that benefit others and be of service to others? So I think it's just I feel like for you guys, this is really just a reminder of what your true nature is. You're naturally already someone who wants to be, you know, expressing yourself from your heart chakra. But I feel like we're living in a world here that wants to confuse us and give us so many different distractions and options that tempt us and lead us away from what we already know is the right path. When we're leading with our heart, we're going to be going in the right direction. But there are going to be temptations in life. That's just how it is. And then we have the high priestess. I feel that, I'll hold this up because it's a pretty image. Yeah, I mean, I think that your intuition, I'm not sure what the message is. Something about your intuition. What? What about your intuition? Yeah, your intuition is going to guide you back to your heart over and over again. But there are going to be times when you get lost along the way. And I feel like the message to you guys is to love and cherish yourself regardless. Like if you notice that you did get away from being a heart-centered person and approaching life from that place of heart-centeredness, be kind and loving to yourself for that. You know, like you're human. We live in a world of temptations and distractions. And how are you going to avoid it? I mean, it's just what happens. Let's see, we have the Queen of Swords. Let's get a final message here. Yeah, Queen of Swords, 8 of Swords, and 10 of Wands. I feel like it's only in your mind that it's a burden to live from a place of love. It's only if you allow the feedback that you get from others or the ego temptations of what's in it for me. If you allow your mind to get fixated on those things like, well, I wrote this song, but then people were hating on me, or I did this or that or the other, and then people were, belittling me when I was just trying to be a loving person. I created this charity organization, and not everyone liked it, or, people found fault in what I was doing. Whatever it happens to be, it's only in your mind that it's a burden that those things are happening, because there will always be naysayers, and there will always be temptations. So if your mind allows you to be convinced that living from the heart is not the best choice because there might be negative repercussions of doing that, that's just a mental blockage. And so you can recognize that and say, okay, my mind and my outlook, my perspective is leading me astray from what my heart knows is true, which is that I'm here to live from the heart. So that's a really beautiful message. So give yourself, a little bit of a hug and a little bit of encouragement, because it is difficult to be someone who's living from a place of heart-centeredness in this world. There are many heart-centered people in the world, but there is a lot of heavy ego weight here on earth that does pull us down and away from that. And it'll happen over and over, So just acknowledge that's part of the struggle of living, and pick yourself back up. Shine that heart light out really bright, the way that you most prefer anyway. And if you get some sort of negative feedback, just focus again back on the heart. What does the heart say to do in response to that? It's not easy. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome to everyone who chose the third leaf, option number 3. The 2 cards that I'm getting to start off with are the Lover's card and the Hierophant, which is interesting because the Hierophant came up in pile 1, but in a different context than this. But I'm getting 2 different groups of people that I'm speaking to here, so I'm going to separate this reading up into option A and option B, so hopefully that makes sense. The first group of people that I'm speaking to are people who are in some sort of religious tradition. Maybe you're a member of a religion or organization that is just not very open to LGBTQ people. So that's the first group. If you're in that sort of a group, if that's who you are, you belong to a religion that doesn't happen to be very welcoming to LGBTQ people, or a business, or a nationality, a government that's not open to queer people, then that would be group A. The other group are people who maybe are in counseling fields, or maybe you're even doing divination, like you could be a tarot reader, but someone who's giving guidance to couples, or guidance to people who are looking for love. So maybe you're like a dating coach. So group B would be dating coaches, people who give any sort of guidance about people's love lives. Could be marriage or relationship counselors, anything like that. So those timestamps will be in the description box as well. You probably noticed them when you chose your option to begin with. But yeah, so let's start with Group A. All right. Got a plane going by. I don't know if the camera audio is picking that up or not, but I am. So Group A, you're in some sort of religion or organization, and you live in a nation or something of that sort, right? Maybe all of the above, where queer folks are not accepted. So it could be like same-sex union, or being trans, or gender non-binary, or whatever it happens to be. Okay, so what do your guides have to say to you about being of service? We have the Strength card, so I feel like part of what the message is that it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of courage to stand up and say and do what's right. And I feel that what you do want to do is, like, maybe, you may be queer yourself, or just someone who is an ally or wants to be an ally. And this is how you can be of service, is by having the courage to speak up against hate speech or just wrongful practices, Okay, let's see what else we're getting. And it's just a reminder that it does take courage, especially when you're in a group where everybody else is not going to be very welcoming to you giving a dissenting opinion or something like that. We have the Wheel of Fortune card and the Fool. I feel like this is just a reminder that any sort of change or progress that happens takes time, and there are going to be ups and downs when it comes to that. But you also have to get the ball rolling. Somebody has to be willing to rock the boat, or continue to rock the boat. And I just feel just a reminder of the happiness and joy that you will find in this journey of service, that you yourself will benefit. That's not the reason for it, but you'll benefit from knowing that you did the right thing, basically. That you stood up for fairness and love. We also have the High Priestess. I'm going to clarify this. I think this is also saying that intuitively you know that there may be, maybe at your church or wherever it is, this could be even a school or something where, but you know that there are people who are maybe in the closet because they don't feel safe coming out of the closet. And it's just intuitively you know that people may be struggling. And it's sort of like, I feel that empathically you can kind of feel the pain of people not feeling accepted, basically. And you're gonna be coming across as a bitch, kind of, to some people when you do stand up to things that are hateful. And we have the Seven of Swords. Sometimes it will feel like it doesn't even matter if you speak up or if you don't speak up. It will feel damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I'm reminded, and I'll try to flash it up on the screen, the full quote from Mother Theresa about that. You know, it's like people are not going to always be very open to you being a kind and loving person, but you should do that anyway. I'm going to put up the full quote here on the screen so you can see it. All right, so I think that's everything for the first group, for Group A. I hope that was a helpful message about how to be of service. We're going to move on to Group B. All right, so for those of you who were in the Group B, I have to remind myself what I said about you all. What did I say? Oh, that you maybe are like counseling people regarding romantic partnerships or just romantic issues. So you could even be a tarot reader. I know that I do a lot of tarot readings on romance. People get so confused and lost and they need a lot of support. But you could also be a therapist. You could be any sort of counselor, even clergy. People often go to clergy for advice. But whoever you are, people are seeking you out to help them understand relationships better, to help them navigate relationship dynamics. Okay, so for this group of people, what does Spirit want you to know? So we have the Fool card. This has something to do with your personal journey as a counselor, helper, or guide to people regarding their romantic relationships. In your personal journey, you've had a lot of pain. You've experienced a lot of pain and hardship yourself in your own romantic journey. It's true. And that is, a lot of people, that's where their insight comes from, is through navigating their own pain. We have the Five of Swords. Let me clarify this. It could be that you may be wondering, if I'm having this much trouble in my relationship life, do I really have the insight necessary to help other people who are struggling? So there could be some sort of internal conflict within you about that. Or you could be, maybe you're worried. I think you're wanting to be of service, right? And either you're worried that other people won't see you as someone who has that capability because of your hardships in your own relationship life, or it's an internal conflict. Maybe both. Gosh, so many swords cards coming up. I feel like you guys are really shooting yourself in the foot here. I feel like mostly this is a lot of self-doubt. You're really doubting. Maybe what it is you're doubting, like, is this really helping people? Is what I'm doing actually helping? You want to be helping, but you're not sure if it's helping. Okay. So this is more like you're already being of service. You don't need help being of service, but you're not sure if this actually is serving other people in the best way. So what do your guides have to say? Six of Cups, absolutely. People are so loved and supported, and with the Six of Cups is about reuniting soulmates as well. So I do feel like you are helping people to be guided towards soulmate love, or to be able to experience higher vibrational love within an existing relationship. How to bump up the love so that the love is really healthy. So yes, definitely you are helping people. Yeah, I mean the message for you guys in Group B is just not to worry so much about that. If you're worried about whether or not what you do really helps, absolutely it helps. You're of so much service. And And then we have the Six of Swords. I do think as a final message, your guides are just saying the best way that you can improve your own ability to be of service, because you already are, is to continue to focus on your own journey of self-care and to remember that you are on a journey and that your journey is just as important. So basically do your self-care, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind and loving towards yourself. You know what I mean by self-care, like it could be meditation, time in nature, journaling, whatever it happens to be. Everybody's different. Making sure that you're getting exercise and proper nutrition, going to a therapist. But you got to take care of yourself and honor and respect the journey that you are on. Don't see the journey that you are on, whether it's been painful, whether you've had relationships that didn't work out or whatever. Do not see that as a negative in your ability to give service. It's absolutely a plus because it's what allows you to understand what other people are going through. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.